Let's transform some furniture I had laying around into something new, but this time you're picking the upcycles and you're picking the paint colors.
You can do better. Let me show you what a good time looks like. You can do better. So much better.
Hey there, it's Christina from the DIYmommy.com. A little while ago in Instagram stories, I asked you which random items I had lying around that you think I should upcycle. And you picked your favorites, plus you picked which spray paint colors you'd like to see me incorporate. In today's video, I'm going to completely transform these items into some really fun and colorful pieces for my yard. I want to thank BEHR, who's sponsoring this video today, to help me completely transform these pieces and encourage me to really think outside the box for these DIYs today. I'm going to be using colors and techniques that I don't normally use. I think these trash to treasure makeovers turned out really fun, and I can't wait to share them with you. Let's get started. For this first one, I asked you if you wanted me to upcycle an old chair or an old planter, and you picked the old planter. This definitely needs some love. The rattan on it is looking a little sketchy. Plus, I'm just gonna pop out this old planter and use it for something else. I also asked you which paint colors you wanted me to use, and this inked paint color was one of them, and I'm gonna pair it with some gloss white as well. I'm also gonna use this old electrical reel top to turn this into a patio accent table. I'm going to try to just pull the lining out of this planter, and then I can reuse the lining, and then I'll be able to paint the exterior of this planter. So now we just have the rattan lining, well, the faux rattan. I'm going to give it a clean, and then we can use this for storage inside of the table. Now I'm going to spray paint it with BEHR spray paint and primer in the inked color. One trick with spray paint is just to keep that can moving so that you don't get any big blobs of paint. This can fits nicely into my hand, so it's really easy to apply this to my projects. The BEHR paint and primer is fast drying, it has excellent coverage, and it can stick to multiple surfaces like wood, plastic, and metal. I'm only going to use 2 to 3 coats for each of these pieces. I actually like the way that the rustic wood shows through this one, so I think I'm going to just add 2 coats to the top of my table. This one's already looking pretty good. This paint dries within 15 to 30 minutes, so you can either recoat it within 1 hour or just wait 24 hours to coat it again. Gotta say, I really love how quickly this paint is drying for me, even though it is humid outside. It's taken about 20 minutes or so for each coat to completely dry to the touch. I think I'm gonna give this one just the 2 coats, and then the top of the table, I think it needs 3. I've let this dry for another 15 minutes, and now I'm using some painter's tape to mask off every other slat on this tabletop. I want to paint all of the opposite slats in the inked color. I love the striped look for a nautical vibe, and that's what I'm going to go for this piece. Again, I'm using those long, even strokes and just making sure that I don't ever stop moving my can to get that nice, even look. I think that spray paint is a fantastic product to use even if you're a beginner at upcycling furniture. As long as you keep that can moving, you're going to get a great result. Yeah, so there's a huge storm coming. So thank goodness this paint dries quickly. Now I'm taking off the painter's tape, and I love how this striped look turned out. I'm taking some twine, and I'm going to create a little accent for the border of my table. I'm creating a loop, and then I'm pulling in the tail of the twine to create another loop. I'm essentially finger crocheting here, and I'm going to create a nice long chain that's going to fit twice around my tabletop. I'm I'm just using some indoor-outdoor hot glue, applying that to the edge of my tabletop and putting this braided twine around. I love how this gives this some texture, and again, it kind of adds to that nautical vibe. So here's how the planter looked before, and here is how I upcycled it. This is such a cute little nautical side table. You can open up the top and inside the basket put things for outside. I'm just putting things for our pool in there, like goggles and a net, and then pop that top back on. So not only does it act as storage, but it also acts as a cute accent table for outside. Another great thing about the BEHR paint and primer is that you can use it both indoors and outdoors. All of my pieces are going to stay outside and they are going to last. The next DIY, I asked you if I should upcycle this bench or this old door, and you picked this door. We're going to turn it into sort of a decorative plant stand for the front porch and give it a really unique tropical vibe with some wild colors. First things first, I'm taking all of the old little screws and pegs that I had on this and giving the whole thing a nice sand. So let's sand all of the holes that I put in this door, and we're going to fill them so that everything is ready to paint. I also cut some old 2x4s and 2x10s, and I'm sanding those as well. I cut them to the same width as the door. I'm using some spackling to cover up all of my holes and then letting that dry and sand that as well. You wanted me to use Unmellow Yellow and Tropics for this DIY. These are some bright, bold colors, and I'm excited to see how they look on this project. What I want to do with this door is I want to create a reverse stencil effect. So I'm painting the top quarter of this door in the Unmellow Yellow, and then I'm going to apply a stencil and then paint over that with the Tropics color. Again, using those nice long strokes to make sure that I have an even look. I found these table legs at Home Depot, and I'm spraying those with the Unmellow Yellow color as well. Again, this is going to dry really fast, between 15 and 30 minutes, and then you can recoat within 1 hour or wait the 24 hours to recoat. I used 3 coats of paint for the yellow. Now I'm using this beautiful Tropics color. I love this one, so I'm so glad you picked this one. It's a beautiful teal color, and I'm painting the bottom section of the door with this one. I'm wondering if I should try an Ombre Effect on the door. This wasn't something that I planned originally, but I'm curious to see if I can try it, and then I can always paint over it if it doesn't work out. To create this Ombre Effect, I'm just going over this meeting of the colors over and over again with the yellow, the teal, kind of alternating them. I want to create a gradient from that teal to the yellow. That looks cool. Little bursts. I found that holding the spray can on its side and applying the paint horizontally created this splattered effect. I'm also painting those boards in the Tropics color as well, and they're going to make a little tabletop. I'm using my Cricut to create a stencil, but you can buy one, or you can also use a craft knife and a printer to create one as well. My plans have changed a little, so I'm just using a regular stencil effect now rather than the reverse stencil effect, keeping the top of the door yellow and just taping the stencil on with painter's tape and making sure all of the other areas of my door are masked off. I'm using Tropics to paint over it nice and lightly and then removing the stencil. I'm giving this a little spray of that yellow to give it a nice soft effect. Now I'm taking some screws and screwing on a piece of 2x4 to the table height that I want on the bottom of this door, screwing it to either side of the door because it is a hollow core door, so I want to screw it into the solid sections. And then I'm creating pilot holes with a drill and screwing this top 2x10 into the 2x4 piece. Now I'm drilling more holes and applying some glue onto the top of the table legs and popping them in the holes. So here is how this door looked before I got a hold of it, and here it is now as a tropical inspired plant stand. This one is super bold and bright, but I'm so proud of how this gradient effect turned out. It was a happy little accident. Really glad I switched gears here, and I think it turned out fantastically. I think this looks great as a plant stand on the porch, great for drinks between chairs. It'd be really neat at a backyard kids party too. Finally, I asked you if I should upcycle a table or a palette, and you picked the table. It's really important to clean any pieces really well before you paint. Make sure all of that grease and dust is off. I want to use my pick for this paint, so I'm using Hidden Sea Glass, this beautiful aqua color. This is a nice color. Again, I'm using those nice long even strokes. Spray paint is perfect for an irregularly shaped piece like this because you're going to be able to get into all of those nooks and crannies. So again, if you're a beginner with painting and you want to paint a piece like this, spray paint is a fantastic option for you. I also had this old bucket I thought I could upcycle for this project as well. So I'm going to give this one a nice clean, and I'm just going to use some plain white flat spray paint for this one and paint it too. This paint not only sticks to wood and plastic, but it sticks to metal like this as well. "15 minutes later, this is now dry to the touch. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the second coat. I think it's only gonna need 2 coats if I do it really carefully. I love the coverage I'm getting on this, and I'm able to complete projects nice and quickly because we have that paint and primer aspect, so it covers really nicely. I'm giving this little planter a second coat of the white paint. And again, just letting my coats dry for about 15 minutes in between. Now I'm going to use this outdoor cafe color, and I'm using this really old brush. You can find something like this at a dollar store, and I'm going to apply some of this brown spray paint right into this brush, a nice hard bristled brush. I'm using my finger to stroke down on the brush, and the paint is going to flick from the top of that brush onto my table. I want to create sort of a vintage speckled effect, and this is what I found worked the best for this. So you definitely want that nice stiff bristle, and you want that flicking motion with your gloved hand. I'm loving how this is turning out, so I'm going to do the same thing on the planter as well. Next, I am using a self-tapping screw and using that to attach this planter to the base of this table. I'm popping a beautiful little planter inside the painted planter, and it's going to act as a little decoration for this table. As a reminder, here's how this table looked before, and here it is now. I absolutely adore this speckled look I got on it. It kind of reminds me of robin's eggs with the blue and the brown. The addition of the planter that's attached inside adds that decorative element, perfect for outside in the garden, for tea. This would be fantastic for parties as well. You could put any sort of plant you want inside and decorate it any way you want. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was so fun to let you help me pick my upcycles today, the paint colors, and I want to thank BEHR again for sponsoring this video today. Now I would like to hear from you. Let me know down in those comments below which of these transformations was your favorite. My personal favorite was that simple bistro table planter. Of course, that aqua color is one of my favorites, and I love a good vintage look piece. Make sure to click that link down in the description box below to learn more about BEHR spray paint and primer, and to get started on your own upcycling project.